The Oscars are not an international film festival, they're very local. Bong Joon-ho, director of Parasite, said this to Vulture's E. Alex Jung in October of 2019 before winning South Korea 4 Oscars. This topic is often overlooked, so I want to inform you, my fellow peers, about the exclusion present within the Oscars. Due to our society's seemingly need for familiarity, a lot of people of color and different nationalities have a hard time being recognized, especially within the Oscars. After witnessing the 2020 award ceremony, and more specifically the history being made, I was more curious to know how far this lack of diversity really ran. After reading a bunch of articles, I was actually kind of surprised at the results. I figured out it boils down to 2 things. First of all, our tendency to avoid movies that are in a different language. And then second of all, the rare occurrence of diversity within the protagonist of movies. Foreign language films require a lot more attention, and because we tend to shy away from them, and the Oscar is based on our votes, then they aren't recognized within the Oscars. Parasite was the first non-English film to ever win Best Picture, which is the highest award that can be won at the Oscar ceremony. Only 10 other foreign films were ever even nominated for this award. Sarah Oddie wrote about this in a New York Times article that was published in 2020. She also mentioned that South Korea not only won Best Picture, but as well as Best Foreign Film. It was the first time South Korea even ever won a nomination. Hannah Gregorius, writer of The Atlantic, published an article in February 2020 where she also mentioned that Bong was the first Asian filmmaker to ever receive Best Screenplay Oscar. She also quoted Justin Chang from a Los Angeles Times article posted in January 2020, where he said, "If you look beyond the language, the Parasite features some of the best individual performances." Roma won last year's Best Foreign Language Film, and it was also nominated for Best Picture as well. Unfortunately, Parasite took the category of winning that for the first time. Once you overcome the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you will be introduced to many more amazing films. Bong said this in his acceptance speech for Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film. Sandra Garcia, in a February 2020 article of New York Times, also mentioned that in 2016, the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, requires streaming services such as Netflix and Hulu to subtitle all of their movies. AMC, along with other movie theaters, also have started showing more foreign language films. Though watching a movie in a different language requires more attention, it is becoming more popular. As long as we keep our minds open, we can learn a lot from it. However, there are some things that we can't control, such as the casting of actors and actresses within the movies. There's a lack of recognition for people of color. Eugene Wu wrote a Vintage article in 2017 pointing this out. The majority of actors and actresses who have won an Oscar have been white. In 1940, Hattie McDaniel was the first African American to ever win an Oscar. It's also known as the Lost Oscar because she never even physically received it. He also points out the 20-plus year gap in between her and the next 2 African American women to win an Oscar, Sidney Poitier in 1963 and then Whoopi Goldberg in 1990. Even a majority of winning roles fall into stereotypes. Slave, athlete, Negro, thug. 55% are stereotypical. 20% are famous people that they're portraying. 25% have no stereotype. Even then, only 7% of recipients were people of color. So in conclusion, the lack of diversity within the Oscars is because of the individuals outside of the U.S. tendency to be hard time to be recognized because of the foreign language films, as well as Hollywood's progressive role to incorporate more people of color into their movies. Because we need to stay within our comfort zone, we close our minds and prevent these talented actors and actresses and directors outside of the U.S. from being recognized. I hope that I could inform you about the exclusion filmmakers outside of the U.S. and people of color have experienced, and maybe you can open your mind. Our culture's tendency to exclude people it's changing, and we are becoming more accepting. I encourage you to not dismiss a film just because you see that it's in a different language.